get into the three report outs we've got today. So another lovely sunny day. So welcome everybody to Report Out. My name is Jenny Earhart. I'm Director of Finance for the Trust and delighted to be chairing Report Out. As I say, I think we've got three really interesting ones and really quite diverse in terms of the topics. So we'll jump. I am a little bit ahead of time, but I'm always conscious that time for questions is really valuable. So please get your thinking caps on as you're listening, and we'll come to questions at the end across all three of the presentations. So, Mark, am I coming to you for the first one?
Yes, Jenny, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so thank you everyone for giving us the time to share our project with you. We are here to present the work that we've been doing in learning and development as part of the OD and Culture Department. So we're focused on reviewing and improving our offer to everyone in our trust continuously. So it's a bit of an ongoing project. And this has been a collaborative effort driven by feedback, evidence, and a clear aim to add more value through our L&D provision. And you can go to the next slide, please. Oh, sorry, that one, Kirsty, I've gone one too far. Let me just, can you go back a slide? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so our core team consists of myself, Tom, Mark, along with our business colleagues, Suzanne and Nicola. We've been focused on reviewing and improving the Trust Learning and Development offer. So our aim has been to simplify and modernise our approach, ensuring that everything that we deliver through learning and development is impactful, purposeful and truly aligned to the needs of our current and our future workforce and our services. Central to all this work is our commitment to embedding the Trust's recently reviewed 7 commitments into everything that we do. Next slide, please. Okay, so problems and challenges that we might have faced. So as part of our review, we adopted the LIM methodology to identify any inefficiencies in our current processes. This approach revealed several critical areas for improvement. This included content and process issues. So inconsistencies and unclear processes were creating confusion and ineffectiveness. Time-intensive and error-prone processes. So manual steps were not only slow, but also contributing to avoidable errors. We had duplicated content, so we identified multiple instances of course content being repeated unnecessarily across different offerings, leading to waste of effort and then diluting the impact. We also had high non-attendance rates. So attendance data showed us that we had consistent drop-offs, suggesting that the current offer may not be aligned with the staff's needs or accessible in practice. We also had lack of coordination, so there was minimal collaboration and communication between colleagues involved in designing and delivering the training offer, resulting sometimes in fragmented efforts. And then access and equity concerns. So feedback from the staff survey highlighted concerns around fair access to training and development opportunities. And these insights informed our next steps to improving priorities aimed at creating a more streamlined, coordinated and impactful learning experience for staff. Next slide, please. Okay, so our action analysis. So as part of the improvement work in learning and development, we use the Tim Woods framework to identify where time, effort or talent might be being wasted in our current processes. It helps us to look at areas like delays in course approvals, duplicate content or underused expertise, all with the aim of making L&D a more streamlined, responsive and impactful. We wanted to make the invisible visible. So we use process flow mapping to visually lay out how our activities and current work was set from needs to delivery and evaluation. And this has given us a clear picture of where things were slow or where things were overlapping, helping us to target improvements that support both the learners and the organisation more effectively. And I'll just hand over to Mark to do the next slide.
Thanks, Sally. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, you got it there. Yeah, brilliant. So yeah, in terms of actions and improvements, our review surfaced several key themes and we found duplication of effort, for example. So when we looked at our content, all very quite similar. So we created by different departments as well. So when we went out, scoped and investigated why, we came up with that. So access to learning was sometimes sort of inconsistent or overly complicated. So we also had a range of outdated materials that no longer reflect our priorities of ways of working, and all of these reduce the effectiveness and credibility of our offer. So in reviewing all of this work and continuously having those regular huddles to review the work, review the feedback, it enabled us and empowered us to make those changes as well. And like Sally said at the beginning, in terms of those revised and refreshed 7 commitments, we were able to implement that right into everyday learning and development. And actually what came out of all of these improvements, 2 really exciting and fascinating new sessions that we have put together, 2 workshops, which empowers and builds confidence for our staff out in the organisation. And those being the first one being Facilitation Skills Masterclass, which allows, regardless of role, the opportunity for staff across the organisation to participate in what that facilitation looks like. So it's a day-long workshop that empowers people to have a go at it, whether they're facilitating a team meeting, holding a space, a session or a training session or a team activity or a team timeout. Just amazing. And that we run our first one, didn't we, Sally? Literally last week, and we've again getting some great feedback from that. So the bookings are stacking up throughout the year on that one. And again, in healthcare and indeed in everywhere in life, as we are, change is the continuous and continuous and constant. So a lot of our requests that come into us here at OD and Culture are support for teams that are navigating through change. So again, through that work in supporting teams, we thought that how better to do that is to put it out to everybody in the trust, make it accessible for all. So we put together a workshop called Navigating Change Through Storytelling, and the impact that storytelling really does have in making a difference to change and making change workable and achievable. And all of this, Jenny, you referenced it right at the beginning, that PDSA. So we use that cycle and that model to continuously do and review what ways that we do. So thank you. Yeah, next slide, please, Kirsty. So in terms of the outcomes, so here you can see that the main themes that emerged, and these became our drivers for change. So we wanted to reduce duplication. We wanted to streamline the accessibility. We wanted to refresh the content and ensure that we are aligning our learning and development work to our organisational strategy. So these findings were the foundation for the improvements that we made. Next. So thanks so much. And finally, so what would we do differently? And again, from our findings, we move quickly into action. The slide summarises where we are now. We've made progress in redesigning our offer, and again, continuously getting great feedback along the way. We started that in the new financial year, so all our content's been refreshed. So it's been great to deliver, but also receive and see the impact for the staff that are accessing the training. And again, it's aligning it to our capability and workforce development needs and improving the user journey. So the shift has been from a static set of courses to a more strategic, responsive and accessible development offer. And again, like anything in terms of our next steps, it's all ongoing work. So we will continue to annually review our evaluations. Sally and I, it comes to us automated. So once the course, everyone that's accessed the course, they get given a link, which gives them an opportunity to reflect on the course. They receive a certificate of completion from that. But what Sally and I also gain is the evaluation from everybody. So we can continuously meet up and evaluate where we're hitting, where we're not, what's making a difference and what's not. So yeah, again, all of these changes are ongoing and we're all looking forward to the future in L&D and making the impact that we can make across the wider trust. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you both. So we're marginally ahead of time, which is yeah, as my colleagues will know, I'm not the best at being ahead of time. So we'll keep moving so that I can keep saying it. Gillian, do you want to come in and talk to us about cardiac surgery clinic utilisation?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Gillian. I'm the Cardiac Surgery Business Manager. So the aim of this project, it was to improve clinic utilisation of cardiac surgery outpatient clinics, aiming for 100%, and improving patient experience and efficiency in outpatients. Next slide, please. So the problems and challenges. So the utilisation of cardiac surgery outpatients was running at approximately 81%. The quality of standalone clinic registrar clinics, the consultants wasn't really happy with the quality of reviews. We had quite a few complaints from patients and also quite a few sorry, that's my phone ringing. Quite a few complaints from clinics about and queries, so we were having to go back to patients frequently, like we're changing medication, etc. We had incomplete investigations for new referrals, so patients coming without correct imaging, angiograms, echoes, CTs. We had lack of room availability, so during COVID we gave up quite a few of our rooms, and we never really got them back. There was a delay in requesting and reporting investigations, and we had a shortage of junior doctors to cover clinics. Next slide, please. So, is that the next slide? Oh yeah. So, what we did was we reinstated a combined and consultant and registrar clinic to ensure a thorough and complete clinic reviews, including junior doctor teaching. We worked collaboratively with the outpatient nursing team to restore consultant rooms, which were lost due to the COVID pandemic. We added an ACP surgical wound clinic review, which alleviated pressures on the surgical ward. It also generated income with coding with outpatient procedure. Staff engagement through weekly team huddles and allowing staff to voice suggestions and ideas. We started the consultant job planning reviews, and we implemented a new junior doctor rota. Next slide, please. So the outcome, so this is still work in progress. We've made a small but positive increase in clinic utilisation. We still require additional clinic rooms to accommodate some clinics, and it's proven a little bit difficult due to the outpatient capacity. Referrers have been reminded of the minimum data set which is required for cardiac surgery referrals. The table below shows an increase at the moment to 89% from 81%. I'm hoping this is going to increase throughout the year, and if it doesn't, then I will readdress any issues. Next slide, please. And what went well, so we've been receiving positive patient feedback on a reduction in patient complaints. We are looking to set up a second surgical wound clinic due to the success and demand following the initial clinic. We've got collaborative working and all teams involved, including admin, surgeons, outpatient staff and registrars. We've introduced the patient hub to cardiac surgery, thereby reducing clinic DNAs and obviously postage costs. And the clinical lead has trialled e-outcomes along with a junior surgeon, and this is now going to be implemented across the entire specialty. And that's it from me.
There's some really fantastic things in there. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Gillian. And it's always, I think it's always good to say there's more to do. Do you know, like I think that's a positive. So yeah, you know, you're not achieved where you've set out to, but that's all right. You know, there's more time in there. So yeah, really appreciate it. Thank you. So we are running ahead of time. So I've got plenty of time for questions. So when you know, please, as you're thinking, because sometimes when I say, well, is there any questions, we have this sort of tumbleweed moment. So, you know, we've got some really good, you know, 2 really good presentations already, and we'll come on to Jane now around private patients and overseas and fertility. Thank you, Jane.
Lovely, thank you very much. So I am here today to do a presentation around the private and overseas fertility patients and a recent policy change that we had in January. So I will start the presentation. So first slide, please, or slide 3. So a little bit of background. In January 2025, the ICB amended the Access to Infertility Treatment Commissioning policy for the Yorkshire and West Humber. So the changes to the policy stated that if one patient is eligible and one patient is not, only the eligible patient only will receive the NHS funding. So previously January 2025, if one patient was eligible within the partnership, then both patients could go through and proceed with NHS funding. So the patient who is eligible for NHS funded IVF treatment is now required to pay for IVF treatment, their investigations, and also a 50% uplift on the tariff. So the main challenge was to process a map for every eventuality for our fertility private and overseas patients to allow this cohort of patients a clear and concise pathway. So I haven't gone way over on the numbers or anything like that, but we currently have this affected around 369 patients within the service, where we needed to go back and find out how many were 50-50 and how many were not eligible. So obviously a lot of work to be done. So these changes were made with an immediate effect from the 28th of January 2025 for all patients within our system. So patients who had started their IVF could continue on their journey as planned. Patients who were already within our system thought they were going ahead for IVF treatment but had only just started investigations. They were no longer eligible and unable to continue with NHS funded treatment. So we had to decide when this sort of IVF actually is. Care Fertility are contracted to do the IVF treatment. We follow patients all the way through from investigations. The point when they're ready for IVF treatment, we refer them on to Care Fertility. So it was concluded with after lots of discussions that the start of IVF was at the nurse planning appointment within Care Fertility. So then we had to think about how we were going to contact all these patients who had received investigations but could now not continue with their NHS treatment. So we also had obviously it's not great for patients, it wasn't very patient-centred, and we had to do this in as much of a patient-centred way that we could. So we considered an appointment for these patients, which will be costly to the CSU, but eventually agreed on consultants writing with results and advice, and we converted clinic time into admin time for consultants to do this. We had to consider costings and payments of how we were going to work out for these patients, how they would pay. So we are working with them, still working very closely with Care Fertility, as they already provide these services for their private patients and are set up to take on this work already. This part of the process is still being worked on and should be finalised very soon. So we had to then work out how to split the treatment where patients have come through as a couple previously. This was very difficult, and after multiple discussions with ICB, it was decided on a 50-50 split of IVF costs. We then had to consider who would communicate these changes to our patients, and the ICB agreed to sign off these letters in partnership with the Trust. The next slide, please. That's it. So actions, we identified our key stakeholders and had regular communications, which was central to this project being successful. We also communicated meaningfully with every patient to ensure they were kept up to date. One of the key tools used was process mapping, merging old and new processes into a leaner way of working, keeping the patient at the centre of everything we did. We had to create standard letters for each outcome of the process. So next slide, please. So the outcome, LTHT are now following the new policy for private and overseas. Patients are aware of the change to the policy. We now have very robust private and overseas checks across the fertility department, working alongside the private and overseas team, completing checks on spine as well as PAS. There is some waste reduction benefit here, as there's a cost incentive for patients who are not eligible but their partner is. We are today unsure on the scale of this, as to which patients will be in a position to self-fund over half of their treatment, but we'll be, of course, monitoring and recording this process as patients progress through the system, which the 50-50 part of the process is still waiting to be progressed, but we will be doing this within the next couple of weeks. We're just waiting on some further costings from care and things like that, so that will be progressed very soon. So next slide, please. So what went well and what would I have done differently? So patients within the system, we felt as a team that patients should have been allowed to continue their journey if they'd have started having investigations. It didn't seem very patient-centred to not allow patients to continue, which as a team we did struggle with. We are a very patient-focused team. We would have liked more notice from the ICB. Would have been very useful to get processes and letters in place prior to the change of policy, and also give patients a little bit more notice of the changes. But unfortunately, this was not possible. So what went well? We had very good communication between LTHT, Care Fertility and the ICB once we were aware of the policy change and we'd had our initial meetings. So working relationships have improved across all stakeholders, which is obviously a positive. So excellent fertility admin team. Yeah, I can't praise them enough. Supported all the process and spoke to all patients, resulting in 0 PALs around the subject today. And that's me done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jane. Really appreciate it. And obviously, quite a bit of that is very much in my domain. So one of the commitments from my perspective. So yeah, really appreciate that. So has anybody got any immediate questions? I've got a couple, so I can start us off. But please, if you've got any questions on any of those, all 3 really good presentations. So great. Andy, just win.
Hi, Jenny. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jane, as well. I just wanted to, it's more of an observation, really, that there's many complexities around the relationship and partnership with Care Fertility, and many of those, Jenny, that you're praised on. And I think Jane and the team have worked exceptionally hard, as she's outlined in that presentation, trying to unpick some of these nuances, because it's not just the challenges around the private and overseas which come into effect, the change in policy in January, that the team has had to contend with in terms of adopting and implementing new systems and processes and SOPs. But there's many other nuances of the service in which they've done that as well, as part of their day job, if you like, or on top of their day job, just incorporating this into their work. And they've worked exceptionally well in working through the pressures that have been presented through that partnership. So from my perspective, just a really well done to Jane and team for their continued dedication to the job that they do, because without them, we wouldn't have been able to move through some of this in the pace that we have.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate that. Sorry, Jane. You want to come in?
So I just said thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Thank you. Magnus.
Jenny, thanks. Thank you for the presentations. I only saw 1.5. Apologies, I was a bit late on. Jane, can I just ask you about the tariff plus 50%? Does that cover our costs appropriately? Sometimes I see our private tariffs don't really cover everything that they need to. And then I'm thinking about, actually, if you compared us with the private provision locally outside of the NHS, how do we compare with them as well?
It's so difficult. So we've been in contact with lots of other hospitals that are also having to figure out the 50-50 slot, 50-50, and then the NHS tariff, 50% uplift. It's so difficult, and I think one of the main difficulties is that we contract out to Care Fertility, so they are going. I don't know if you can come in a little bit on this, Andy, and just it's been so difficult. We've spoken to numerous different hospitals and how they deal with it and the costings of it, and I think that one of the main problems will be that a lot of patients won't go through the PPO, they won't come through the NHS because potentially they will get a better, they'll get more IVF for the money if they go private, and that's why there's just so much, we just don't know how it's going to work yet.
Yeah. If I could come in a bit, Magnus, as well. So one of the PBR rules is where there's an overseas visitor, we rate the rule is you raise it 150% of tariff, and it's underwritten by your local commissioner if you can't recover it. But so we're limited where it's an overseas visitor, we're limited to the 150% of tariff. But if we don't recover, then we get some of that paid through. I think it's half of the 150% that we get paid if we don't recover it, I think, from memory. But that's it's a given. Because these are overseas patients, not private patients. Private patients we can make our own prices for. So it's, as Jane says, the pathway is really complex, and then the pricing isn't straightforward either, unfortunately. So,
Thanks both.
Okay. Lee, did you want to come in?
Yes, thanks, Jenny. And apologies, Magnus, if I'm going to sound like a stuck record from last week, but just to say thank you to Jane and Gillian for all their hard work on the business manager course and for doing these LIM projects within that. They've done an amazing job. They should be really proud of what they've achieved on this and the improvements that they've made for their teams and for their patients at the end of it. And to Mark and Kirsty for mentoring them. And that's all from me. I'll be quiet.
You don't have to apologise for saying something as lovely as that, Jane. Sorry, Lee. I was reading just reading someone else in there. Stuart, do you want to come in?
Yes, thanks very much. Great presentations, all of them. I'm going to come in on the education one. Mark and Kai, I thought brilliant. Love what you're doing there. I was interested in the comment you made about you hadn't nudged the dial on non-attendance, and I'm just wondering if you'd done any or thought about doing any work on understanding why people aren't turning up. I'd be interested in that.
Yeah, so we have started to reach out to people to see if they can give us any reasons why. A lot of them, like in any education, you guys on KPL know as well, is sometimes it's just on the day, staffing issues and capacity and things like that. But we have implemented a waiting list system. So if somebody does know that they can't attend, maybe even a day before, if they can go on ESR and cancel their slot, the person in the waiting list will automatically be given a slot. So if there are people in roles that can step away at last minute, they could have an opportunity to come off a waiting list. But yeah, we've got this new evaluation automated system. So we now encourage our members that do attend to fill in evaluation as well, but the ones who don't attend, we still reach out to those to see if there's anything that we could do differently. We've also tried to do a mixture of virtual and face-to-face and different sites where possible to try and reach more people, because like yourself, probably Stuart, the ones we worry about are the ones we don't see, not the ones we do see. So it is reaching out to those to see, what else could we do. And I think non-attendance in our area will always be there. We try to also increase our spaces more than capacity, with the hindsight of we probably will get some people not turn up. So we'd rather offer more. So we used to have, say, 20 as a limit, and we now have 25, so that we could still cope if everybody did turn up on that day, but also it creates more space for people to book on.
Thank you, Sally. We're pretty much at time. The one thing that I just wanted to pick up across both the cardiac surgery one and the fertility was about referrals and that kind of referral quality. And I know, apologies. I know Gillian mentioned sort of referral quality and reminding people around referrers of that. And then I suppose that's really positive from my perspective, because one of the things I worry about is, as a trust, are we getting the same referral quality, or has there been a change in kind of referral threshold over the last 5-6 years, and are we getting more referrals and we're turning more around, or are we seeing an appropriate referral still? But also Jane, I suppose the question to Jane, brilliant to see that in Gillian's presentation, and then question to Jane really. Do referrers understand the change, do you think, or is there more that either we should be doing or the ICB should be doing to try and help people understand that?
So the ICB are really on board, and they've been very helpful actually. I think one of the problems that we've had is that NHS England, who we were also in contact with, we weren't following we wasn't following what was law, we were following the ICB policy. So we should have actually been doing this quite a long time ago, but because we didn't have it in place around the tariffs and things like that from the ICB, then we had to follow their policy. So I think that's potentially why we've not had many complaints, because I think that patients who are coming through on visas are already aware, and at the point of referral, people are already aware of what should be happening. So it's been a bit of a loophole, really.
Right.
So I think people are aware, and I think that it's probably been expected from referrers as well.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Thank you. I mean, as colleagues have said, 3 really great presentations. Really lovely to see the developments that you've all made and the improvements that you've all made, and the aim is to continue to do that. So brilliant. It's always lovely to start a Friday afternoon with these sorts of conversations. So when you get there, I hope you have a good weekend if you're not working, and thank you if you are. And I'm sure some people will be having some time off next week with it being half term. So I hope you get some good downtime, and thank you for all you do. See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.